Hey everyone, it's Coach Kai. Welcome back to another Path of Exile 3.27 Keeper of the Flame update. If you watched my last Kinetic Rain Elementalist build guide, you know it crushed through the campaign and early white maps, but once we hit yellow maps, things got a little rough. In today's video, we're fixing that. I've overhauled the defensive layers, retuned the gem links, and made a few smart changes to the passive tree that make this build tankier, stronger, and way smoother to play. Let's dive into what changed, and how this version carries us confidently into red maps. So the original version of the build was great for early maps. Clear speed was solid, and damage felt great. But once I got into yellow maps, the lack of defenses caught up fast. Things like chaos damage, elemental hits, elemental ailments, and just general map density started deleting me. That's where this update comes in. I've reworked our defenses, added ailment protection, and found a way to increase total EHP and damage output, all without losing that signature kinetic rain feel. First, let's talk about defenses and the passive tree tweaks that we've made. Starting over here on the left, we've changed our block mastery to 2% maximum chance to block spell damage. This is due to the fact that we were spell block capped, and I didn't need the extra anymore from the 1% chance to block spell damage per 5% chance to block attack damage. So now we're just getting extra spell block chance. This mastery is the same, still great to invert those resistances. This mastery is the same just for some extra attack block chance. Now, this mastery we did change. 5% of attack damage leached his life and mana, as opposed to the previous mastery that we had, which increased mana reservation efficiency for Spellslinger. This was very important before to allow us to actually be able to use Spellslinger, but we found a way around that now, which I'll talk about in the gym section. The only other mastery change we have here, I've added this charge mastery, cannot be chilled while at maximum frenzy charges. That's just an additional ailment. There are other ones, like cannot be shocked or cannot be ignited. Ignites aren't that dangerous, especially with our minor god, and we have a way to avoid being shocked. So, chilled is an extra bonus. This mastery is the same. We have added 2 points here for the Cobalt Jewels. I will show you a section later of some good mods or affixes on jewels. All of these, nothing has changed throughout the rest of this tree here. As we move down here, we have removed some nodes from life to come down here and get arcing blows. Damage with weapons penetrate lightning res, and increased lightning damage with attacks. This is a good bit of damage for our skill, so we've gone ahead and opted to take this. Other than that, everything else is the same. Oh, I'm sorry. We have added a jewel slot here as well. Everything else is the same as far as the passive tree goes. I will say, if you are having trouble with accuracy, which you really shouldn't, but if you are, this is a good node to take. Gain accuracy rating equal to your intelligence. That's always nice to have because we have so much intelligence here, working towards our int stacking later. Also, anoints. We have a couple options. Right now, I have deflection anointed, giving me 8% block attack damage chance and a chance to gain endurance charges. Endurance charges are great for extra defense. If you don't feel you need that, another one that you can allocate would be for reservation efficiency. Another one you could allocate would be charisma right here. Charisma is a great node to allocate for mana reservation efficiency. You can see my unreserved mana is at -1. We'll explain why later. But this would be another good one to take until you can deal with it another way. The biggest change for our defenses is in our gem links. A lot of our gem links are still the same. We've still got Assassin's Mark and Mark on Hit, but now we've added Steel Skin to cast when damage taken. When these are on the same armor piece, make sure that they are not all linked together, because cast when damage taken will proc both Steel Skin and then it will proc Assassin's Mark before going back to Steel Skin. Make sure these two are linked, and then these two are linked. Our Kinetic Rain skill is the same. I have decided to keep greater multiple projectiles on. It feels a lot better while mapping. It also feels a lot better on bosses. While you have all of those projectiles coming down in a small area, it procs more shotgunning, more uh, of those projectiles hitting at the same time. We've also still got our shield charge linked with Frost Blink and faster attacks. Faster attacks only really affects shield charge, but these are our two movement skills. We'll come back to this later. We've also got our 4 golems. Our biggest change for our defenses is right here. We are now using Wrath, Tempest Shield, and Arctic Armor. We were using Wrath before for extra lightning damage, but what Tempest Shield gives us is immunity to shock, as well as increased block chance, which is where we got that max spell block chance from, as well as an extra bonus to attack block. Tempest Shield is great. It does require reservation of mana. Arctic Armor. That allows us to be freeze immune while giving us some extra defenses as well. Less physical damage taken, less fire damage taken, and it can help us to chill enemies. We're already chilling them from our ascendancy, but if they walk behind us, there's a trail of chill. Now, you can use all 3 of these auras together, and you are fine. Your reservation is fine. The only reason my unreserved mana is -1 is because of these here. If I unenable it, I have more than enough reserved mana. But to increase our DPS even further later on, I would like to add Spellslinger back with a tornado setup. The best way to do that would be with an Awakened Enlightened gem. This would, if we activate it, give us more than enough unreserved mana to actually be able to cast all of our skills. I know 60 may not seem like a lot, but with the amount of mana leech that we are getting and mana regen per second, you are able to cast your Kinetic Rain as much as you need. But Awakened Enlightened's pretty expensive. Without it, we do have Enlightened, which still does not quite cover the cost of our Spellslinger Tornado setup. What you can do instead is use that Charisma node. Allocate that onto your neck piece, your jewelry, and you will have more than enough mana reservation. Another option would be to take 3 points off of something else, or really only 2 points. You could take this chill node off here and maybe this jewel socket down here to go right here and get 8% increased mana reservation efficiency. I don't think that's worth it. I think it would be better to just drop the block node here and instead take your charisma node. Next, let's talk about gear. Specifically, a few uniques you should look out for, as well as some of the affixes I may not have talked about on some gear before. A main thing that I definitely didn't talk about is the fact that Kinetic Rain is an attack skill, which means damage from your wand matters, just like any other attack skill in the game, like big bonks, from sledgehammers, from swords, from anything else, your weapon matters. That is going to be some of the biggest damage increases you're going to see. Now, if you don't know what to look for, what you can do in POB, if you didn't know, is click this button here, trade for these items. Click that, and you can find the best for your weapon slot. It will search. You can adjust your search weights if you decide full DPS is your most important. You don't want to look at effective hit pool. You can drop this. Let's say I don't really like attack speed. You can find it on here, cast speed, and drop it to 0 as well, or whatever you need to. If you want to increase something, maybe lightning damage specifically, you can change it. All you're going to do is find best. It will create a trade site link that you can go to and search through to find your best damage increasing weapons. That is how I found this weapon, which increased my damage by a lot, for 10 chaos. Some of the main things you want to look for on rings is flat damage to attacks. That will increase your damage by a lot. I am still working on getting my Chaos Res maxed since I'm not CI yet, but if you plan on going CI, you don't need to worry about that. All other resistances are important. Carnage Heart was a good amulet to use. Now that I'm getting so much leech off of the tree, I will be replacing this amulet with something else. Something with increased spell damage, increased energy shield, maybe some resistances. Maybe I shouldn't need attributes, but anything that you need, you can put here on this amulet now, and make sure you allocate it. For our flasks, now that we have steel skin, immunity to bleeding isn't as big of an issue. Now, I like to keep immunity to bleeding and immunity to corrupted blood on this flask solely for corrupted blood. Corrupted blood is a nasty mod. All of our other flasks, which we have automated using the flask craft that makes it use when charges reach full. As a prefix on all of these flasks, when you are crafting them or buying them, you should try to get the prefix that says gain flask charges at a certain percent chance when you crit. That would be great for upkeep of all your flash charges, making it pretty much a 100% uptime, even on boss fights. As far as your Quicksilver, you still want to look for increased movement speed as the suffix. Your Jade Flask and your Stibnite Flask, you want to look for increased evasion rating. And your Practitioner's Silver Flask, you want to look for reduced effect of curses is good, or anything else you find here that you think might be helpful. You don't need decreased chance of shock or effect of shock. You don't need chill or freeze immunity because we have those already. Some of the uniques you may want to look out for would be Dying Sun. Dying Sun is a great unique flask that increases our projectiles during their effect. It gives us 2 extra projectiles, which just allows us to hit more often. Another unique that might be interesting is the Taming Prismatic Ring. Not only does it give us a bunch of elemental resistances and some extra chance to freeze, shock, and ignite, but you can get 40% increased elemental damage with hits and ailments for each type of elemental ailment on an enemy. This includes things like sap and other ailments other than freeze, shock, and ignite, which we already do. So, how can we scale and get other ailments like sap? Well, there are a lot of Grafts this league. We can't really look at them here to see fully what they do, but there are Grafts that allow us to sap and do other ailments. This could be a very interesting combination, allowing us to, from one Ring of the Taming, get maybe 200% increased element damage. That would be a very interesting combo to look at. Using the trade for these items, though, you can still find your best in socket. Now, for our jewels, there is no best way to do it that I've found so far. You can use the find best tool, that works really well. But I do know if you want to just search for them, these are a bunch of very good mods you can use to actually find good damage mods, good defensive mods on your jewels. Make sure you put it as a count of 4, put a large list of things, and search, and you will find a lot of different jewels you can plug into your tree. To recap, this version of Kinetic Rain Elementalist rebuilds our defenses, fixes survivability, and opens the door to red map in-game. You'll feel tankier, stronger, and much more consistent overall. If you followed the first guide, this update is the missing piece to push your character to the next tier. Thanks for watching. If this helped, drop a like and subscribe for more PoE updates, and share how your own Kinetic Rain build is going in the comments. Links to social and POB are in the description. Catch you on the next one. Class dismissed.